Here it is. God says to Adam, I'm going to make you a helper, a companion. What would you like your companion to be like? And Adam replies, well, I want someone that's humorous, witty, intelligent, compassionate, caring, loving, trustworthy, polite, generous, and beautiful. God pauses for a moment after Adam's wish list and told Adam that a companion like that would cost him an arm and a leg. And Adam seemed a little dejected and then brightly replied, okay, well, what can I get for a rib? Look, these jokes come from you, okay? All right, onward to the talk. Here we go. In the Science of Mind, we teach that God is everywhere equally present. We use this word omnipresent. And this is a really valuable thing for us to remember. So wherever we find ourselves, whatever we're doing, even if we just remember that word, omnipresent, that means God is right here. So another way to say this is that God is taking place everywhere. You can't be somewhere where God is not already taking place. So I think we have to be aware of that in order for it to demonstrate in our life experience. So yes, absolutely God is everywhere. But if we don't know that, it's not going to show up like that in our life experience. It's everywhere, and we have to feel it, we have to know it, we have to believe it, and walk with it. That's why I think we're here, to be a healing light into the world into a world that could certainly use a lot of healing light right now. So, you know, if you're leaving the valley and you're heading over Hollywood, one of the ways to go is wonderful Laurel Canyon. And so I was going over Laurel Canyon, and where it becomes, when you get over, and then it becomes Crescent Heights. You know where I mean there, okay? And I'd had a good morning at home. I'd meditated, I'd prayed, I'd done my reading, I'd affirmed, I'd done all my work, and I was just feeling really good, and it was a beautiful, warm day, and I had to go over the hill, and I'm coming down toward Crescent Heights there, and I see this old man. He was old. I don't know, somewhere between 1,000 and death. I don't know. He was really old. And he's hitchhiking, and he's wearing like a suit coat, and you know, and I'm having a great day. My car windows are open. I've got the stereo up really loud. Cher and I are having some quality time. And this old guy's standing there hitching. And so without even thinking about it, I just pull over, right? And the windows are down, the sunroof's open, I say, hey, where are you going? Get in. I didn't even listen to where he was going. Get in, I'm up for it. And he tells me that where he's going is way down past the freeway on La Cienega. And I think, well, I'm already committed, so okay, come, I'll take you, no problem. So he gets in, you know, and like I say, I'm in a great place. I think everything's good, life is beautiful, and stuff, you know, and so we start talking, and I say to him, you know, it's a really hot day for hitchhiking, you know? And he says, well, they won't let me drive anymore. And I said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And I said, I'm really sorry about that. And he asked me what I do, which is it seems like that would be such a simple thing, but it always seems so complicated. And so I say, well, I'm a minister of a church over in the valley. How about you? What do you do? You know, and he says, I'm a rabbi. And I thought, of course. Thank you. God has such an extraordinary sense of humor. Well, of course you are. Right? And so, you know, I said, but you're hitchhiking in this heat. And he said, I knew someone would pick me up. He said, I knew it. He said, I prayed to God, and I knew, and I was, and he, what do you say? Is it, and I gave thanks for it. So I knew someone would pick me up. And I think, wow, because I hear faith in what he's saying. This guy is standing out in the heat, okay, hitchhiking, and clearly, he's got faith. And I think, okay, he's in my territory now. This is interesting stuff. So I love that he knew. He knew. It was not a question of was he going to walk way down to La Cienega all the way past the freeway. So I asked him, I said, so is your family okay with you hitchhiking? He goes, bah, bah, like one of those, you know? And he says, what do I care what people think about me? And I thought, wow, this is one of those gifts that comes with age, isn't it? That, you know, you get to a point, you know, and this guy really, really, really didn't care what anybody thought about him. He probably didn't apparently care that much about what his family or whoever he had thought about him. And, you know, when we're worried about what people think about us, that's one of the diseases of our time. You know, the fear that other people's opinions, you know, are going to be, you know, ill toward us, or their thoughts about us, or their just, you know, all that stuff. The only opinion, I realized from this, that we need to concern ourselves with is God's. The only opinion. You know, and so what do I say all the time? God looks at you and says, I like him. I made him. In fact, I like them so much, their picture's on my fridge. Really. Your picture is on God's fridge. We need to know that. You know, so at any given time we say, what's God thinking about me? I promise you it's good. What God is thinking about you is good. No matter what your week has been like, no matter what you have been through, no matter what mistakes you think you have made, I promise you, God looks at you, and what God thinks about you is only good. You are an emanation of the divine. You are made in the image and the likeness of God. So what that means for us in terms of practicing the science of mind teaching is that you are God's healing light here on earth. You are the sons and daughters of the Most High God. So we are that light, awakening to who and what we are in the midst of earth plane circumstances. You know, we are the light of God, awakening to that truth with a full plate sometimes. Sometimes we're the light of God, awakening to that truth, hitchhiking on the side of Crescent Heights Boulevard. So our life, Science of Mind teaches us, is the very life of God, regardless of what healing needs to happen for us individually or our nation or the earth on which we live. It's the mistake we make is when we say to ourselves, well, when I get healed, then I will be okay. When this particular area of my life gets better, then I'll be fine. When this relationship gets better, then things will be good. When this straightens out over here, then everything's going to be really, really great. But the thing is, it's in the mind of God, all is well right now. And that's important for us as students of the science of mind to know, because that's how things will get better on earth. That's at least one of the components, is by knowing that things are fine, things are well in the mind of God, and we are here to duplicate the nature of spirit, that's how things will get better here. So spiritual principles do not change. You know, the principles that Ernest Holmes highlights in the Science of Mind for us, those are principles that he realized have been around for thousands and thousands of years. It's just sometimes different from the way we've been taught to live our life. You know, that there are spiritual principles, those principles don't change, but that's just maybe a little different than what we learned along the way. What is difficult, I think, is to think in a loving way rather than when there's so much coming at us from the world around us that makes us want to think in a fearful way. I think it's difficult to think in a loving way when our past has supported us in thinking in kind of a judgmental way, and we tell ourselves that thinking in that judgmental way is really grown up of us. You know, well, I'm just being a realist here. After all, this is what intelligent people do and see. See, Science of Mind has always felt to me like this is just really, really common sense stuff. That this is a really practical way to live. So honestly, I'll tell you that I really have to laugh to myself when I meet somebody and they say, oh, Science of Mind. Oh, I did the Science of Mind. You know, you did the Science of Mind. That's like saying, I did the teacups at Disney World, you know, or Disneyland or something like that. Oh yeah, I went on the teacup. You know, it's like, really, you did the Science of Mind. And what I really want to say to people, what I really want to say is, well, I hope you attended church. You know, I hope you did. And did you treat every day? Did you develop a practice, a spiritual practice of meditation and listening? Maybe some journaling along the way there? Were you reading the books? Did you take class? Did you have a practitioner? Did you tithe? You know, all of these things are part of the Science of Mind. And I think probably what they did is they probably got a Science of Mind magazine that they put in the backseat of their car and drove around with it for about 6 months, until you couldn't see the cover anymore because it was so bleached from the sun. I don't really think that people really, really practice because, our teaching is all about practicing. And again, I think that when you look at it, it's a pretty common sense thing. But we resist. Why do we resist? Because our human mind, because we have free will, because we have choice, is really, really powerful. And I know for us that our mind can bring us peace, or our mind could wreak havoc. Yeah, I know, hard to believe, but our minds could wreak havoc. That our mind could create a place of heaven for ourselves, or our minds could create a place of hell. Don't know if you've been there lately, but I have. And I think, oh my God, I don't have to die to go to hell. I have lived it here, haven't you? Absolutely. When we have chaotic experiences, when we have unloving experiences, and let me be clear, in case you're new here, in the Science of Mind, we don't believe that heaven and hell are physical destinations, that those are places that you might go when you die. That heaven is a state of consciousness. When you know you're connected with God, when there's nothing but love in your heart, and you feel connected with other people, and you know that we're all one, and it's all that, that's heaven. That's it. We've all had that, haven't we? At some point, we've had flashes of it. We've had glimpses of it. And by the same token, everybody here knows what hell is because we have all spent too much time there already. Tell the truth. Do you ever need to go there again? No. Okay. Moving on. So it can always throw up, it seems to me our mind can always throw up a great excuse. It can put up this screen for why we should have really selective participation in how we are in the world and how we are with other people. Look, we can look out and we can see, it's not hard to do, that the world is often a violent place. But the principle is, as within, so without. So when I see that violence in the world, I have to sit in my prayer chair and I have to say, okay, where does that exist in me? And of course, my first response always is, oh, there's none of that in me. That's in other people. Well, if I keep my eyes shut and my mouth shut and I stay sitting, of course, eventually I can start to uncover those places in me. Because the principle, as within, so without. So if we see violence in the world, it's because violence or any other thing that we notice in the world, it exists in us to some degree. Right? So this is because, why is this so? Well, we have free will, we have choice, and look, nobody comes to Earth School because they're already perfect. We come here because we're on the grow. Right? So everybody has things to learn. Or as Ernest Holmes used to say it, he says, everybody has a gift to give, a lesson to learn, and a debt to pay. Now that's a lot. A gift to give, a lesson to learn, and a debt to pay. Right? And we don't know. Often we don't know what we're working on, let alone how could we possibly know what anybody else is working on. But I think this notion of being loveless thinking largely dominates our culture. I don't think anybody will argue with me about that. That's not news to us today. But the science of mind, I always tell people, science of mind is simple, but it's not easy. Right? That our teaching basically, God is all, God is within. Your thoughts are the most powerful thing you have to use, to work with, to heal your life, to create newness, to expand and grow. It's your thought is what you've got to work with. And love is a better way to be in the world. How do we know that? Because we've tried not love. It hasn't worked out very well. Right. Okay. So moving on. So I do not want to be guided by externals. In the science of mind, as in all, early new thought, was this incredible understanding that there's what we see with our five senses, and beyond that, there is a spiritual realm, there is a spiritual truth. And what we believe in is that we believe in a spiritual truth that isn't always accessible to our five senses. In A Course in Miracles, it says, illusions are as powerful in their effects as is the truth. So if we believe in something that is not true, it can still seem really, really true for us. But, so what I realize is that nothing that is limited, nothing finite can make us feel whole. That wholeness is something that comes from within. Now, we have to get, it is all ours. That there is, No matter what our life experience has been, we are not broken. We are not defective. We are not damaged goods in any way. The truth is that we are whole right now. That gift has already been given. So the way we see the world is key, right? That people have good stuff happen, and yet they find something to be miserable about. Do you know these people? I do. Many of them are on the other coast for me, but that's just my personal challenge, that things are going really, really well, but all they can see, as they say, is you should focus on the donut, not the hole, right? And so we have these people who, they just focus on the whole. There's always something to be miserable about. There's always someone to be miserable about. Now, I understand we all have days where we don't express all that is the best within us. I get it, But can I just let people be? Emma Curtis Hopkins teaches us that this is one of the highest teachings. Not from a place of, oh, I don't care about that, or that kind of thing, but it's just this understanding that everybody has a path. And we have to trust that people are doing the best on their path that they can do with what they have right now. I mean, if we ever got up in the morning and said, today, let me do the worst on my path I can do. That's it. Let me forget who I am. Let me forget who other people are. No, people are doing the best they can where they are on the journey. And sometimes sailing is smooth and other times not so much. See, so there is no... What I come to realize is, there is no solution, there's no healing that happens in finding fault out here in the world. Now, that's easy to do. That's Monday morning quarterbacking, right? But the Monday morning quarterback, the joke about that is the Monday morning quarterback never had to get hit, never got tackled, never got knocked over, didn't have to do any training, or any of that stuff. So we all know the difference when someone is sharing from love or putting you down. Everybody gets that, right? And so if we get that, that means other people get that too, right? So the bottom line is everyone has a right to be happy, to do what they do. And I would say, okay, so here's the parentheses, as long as they don't infringe on anybody else's free will, okay? So people have a right to do what they do. People have a right to have what they have. Big picture, it's actually none of my business unless they're stepping on me. See? But as long as I judge other people's judgment will be tough for me to get over. Why? Science of mind says there's only one mind. And so people are not out there where we tend to think they are. That's what our five senses tell us. We're all connected on the unseen side of life. All right? So I could even say other people exist inside of us. Right? Because on that unseen side, we are all one. So the point about this is that if I judge you, I will feel judged, even if you're not judging me back, because what we put out comes back to us. So I think we have to allow others to be who they are, right? And to have the experience they're having. And if you've got to do something, then what you do is you say, is there something I can do to be here for you? Right? Is there a way I can be in your corner? I want to be here for you. Because now we don't know what they're going to say. Right? So if you can't honestly say that, then don't say it. Right? But I think we have to allow other people to just be who they are, knowing that they are in the process of their own spiritual maturation, their own soul's journey. In my own mind, I have to give them permission. See, because I realize that's what I want. I want other people to give me permission to be who I am and to be able to fall down and pick myself up. You see, because it's easy to say... It's easy to say things like, well, the old rabbi should not be a hitchhiker, right? But what do I know, really? I mean, what do I know? I don't know what his important mission was way down on La Cienega. I don't know. I don't know how critical that could have been to him or someone else, right? So if I just get my opinion all in there and my judgment all in there, that's not helpful to him. It's certainly not helpful to me. You know, everybody can win in the mind of God. And I know that makes our head hurt when we think, no, somebody's got to win, somebody's going to lose. But that's duality thinking. In God, everybody can win. You know, until then, we're learning. That's all. We're just learning. You know, and like I like to say, I'd rather be green and growing rather than ripe and rotten. Yeah. You know, so in God, no one loses. And it's not my job to interfere with that. That I'm only held back by my own human tendency, because the personality likes to judge or criticize or condemn or hold someone not in a good light. But you know, come back to our teaching. Science of Mind says there's only one of us here. Ernest Holmes said there is only one mind. All right? So only one mind. We're all connected. What I think, what I put out there about other people is in fact actually coming back to me. Right? So this is moment by moment work. This is moment by moment work. You know, it's like breathe in, put love into the universe. Breathe in, put love into the universe, you know. But we get clever. We get clever along the way. We breathe in, have a little judgment, then we put the love into the universe, you know. There it is, you know. And so what we're working towards, you know, and I know this is a journey, just like going over Laurel Canyon is a journey. This is a journey for us. And the more progress we make with this, the better our lives will be. Let's pray. So we turn our attention inward now, knowing that right here, God in its fullness and allness is present. That we are surrounded by the Father, Mother, Spirit, the creator of all life. It's the truth of our being. And we're also connected with each other on the unseen side. So in this awareness of our oneness with God, I speak the word for each and every one of us that we are in fact here to be God's healing light on earth. And so the right and perfect people and the right and perfect situations are always coming into our life. Why are they coming into our life? Because we're the light that's supposed to shine on them. We're supposed to see the truth about them. We're supposed to love them up. We're supposed to raise them high. So I give thanks that this is the truth for each and every one of us, and that we've made lots of progress and we continue to make progress. We include in our prayer today our family members and friends and loved ones, and we see them in our mind's eye, and we know that God is right there, blessing, lifting, sustaining each and every one. We let our prayer be a blessing in the world around us, so all those things that grab at our attention, we say, God is right there. I am certain of it. God's presence, God's healing, God's peace. We bless our church. We bless all churches, synagogues and temples and mosques and ashrams, all paths to God. And I'm certain this day that we are blessed by being together, that there is raising up, that we all get to be healed. And so with a full heart, I say, thank you, God, that this is the truth. And so it is. Together we all say, Amen.